Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that a lot of people think is out of reach, how you can actually start building wealth right here in Australia with just $500. Seriously, let's get into it. Okay, so right off the bat, let's just bust a huge myth. Do you have this picture in your head that to invest you need, a giant pile of cash and a fancy suit? That it's a game only for the super wealthy?
Yeah, well, I'm here to tell you that's just old school thinking. It's totally time to think again. Because today, the number that really matters is this one, 500 bucks. That's it. It's all you need to open the door, get in the game, and start building your own wealth.
So you might be thinking, okay, but why now? Why not just wait till I've saved up a few grand? And the answer, well, it comes down to the incredible and kind of surprising power of starting small. The real secret sauce here is a concept called compounding. Just picture a tiny little snowball at the top of a really, really long hill. As it starts to roll, it picks up more snow, right? And it gets bigger and bigger, and it starts moving faster and faster. That is exactly what compounding does for your money. Your investment earns a return, and then that return starts earning its own return. It's an absolute beast of a wealth-building engine, and that is why starting early is so unbelievably important. The more time you give that snowball to roll down the hill, the massive it can become. Look, the goal isn't to try and perfectly time the market. That's a fool's game. The real power comes from time in the market. Plus, by starting now, you're building these amazing financial habits that are going to serve you for the rest of your life. And honestly, with modern apps, it's never, ever been easier. Okay, I hope you're convinced. So the next logical question is, where do you actually, do this? It's time to choose your toolkit, your investing platform. So broadly speaking, you've got two main roads you can go down. On one side, you have your brokerage apps. Think of these as putting you in the driver's seat. You're in full control, picking and choosing exactly what you want to buy. Then, on the other side, you've got micro-investing apps. These are designed to basically put your investing on autopilot, helping you chip away with small, regular amounts without you even having to think about it. So what does this actually look like in Australia? Well, if you already bank with CommBank, for example, using CommSec is super seamless. It all just works together. If you want to keep your costs super low for direct trading, platforms like SelfWealth or Stake are really popular for their low or even $0 brokerage fees. And if you love that set it and forget it idea, apps like Rise or Spaceship are brilliant, with features that automatically round up your daily purchases and invest the spare change. All right, you've picked your platform, you've got your $500 ready to go, and now we come to the big one. What on earth do you actually buy? This can feel like the most overwhelming part, so let's just simplify it way down to two fantastic choices for any beginner. First up, we have the Exchange Traded Fund, or ETF. Now, instead of trying to find that one magical company that's going to be the next big thing, an ETF lets you buy a tiny piece of hundreds of companies all in one go. It's like buying a pre-packed basket of groceries instead of walking down every single aisle. This gives you what we call instant diversification, which is just a fancy way of saying you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Some really common examples here in Australia are ETFs with ticker codes like VAS or A200. These basically track the biggest 200 or 300 companies on the Australian market. So with one single purchase, you essentially own a tiny little slice of the whole Aussie economy. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so that's option one. Option two is what you might think of as the more traditional route, buying a blue chip share. This just means you're buying a share in a single, huge, stable, and really well-known Australian company. We're talking about the pillars of the Australian economy. And you absolutely know these names. I'm talking about the big miners like BHP, one of the major banks like CBA, or a retail giant like Woolworths. With this choice, you're making a bet on the continued success and stability of one of these powerhouse companies. So, you've picked your platform, you know what you want to buy. We are so close. Let's just quickly run through the basic rules of the game so you can place that very first order feeling confident. The playground where all this happens is the ASX, the Australian Securities Exchange. Think of it as the big central marketplace where all the buying and selling goes down. Your app or your platform, that's just your personal gateway to get into that marketplace.
Now, when you go to hit that buy button, you'll probably see two main options, a market order or a limit order. A market order is all about speed. It basically tells the system, I want to buy this right now at whatever the best price is. A limit order, on the other hand, is about control. It says, I only want to buy if the price hits this specific number that I set. The trade-off is your order might not happen if the market never drops to your price.
And finally, let's talk about maybe the single most important part of investing. And it's got nothing to do with apps or tickers or charts. It's all about your mindset. It's about risk, reward, and the superpower that is patience. I want to be super clear about this. The value of your investments will go up and it will go down. And sometimes it might go down quite a bit. This is not a sign you did something wrong. It is a completely normal part of how the market works. We call it volatility. The absolute key is not to panic when the ride gets a little bumpy.
You know, it reminds me of that famous saying, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. At the end of the day, winning at this game isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most patient. Real wealth isn't built in days or weeks. It's built over years and even decades of just staying the course.
So there you have it. Investing isn't some exclusive, locked-off club anymore. It's a tool that's available to all of us. That first $500 isn't just money, it's a seed. The only question left is where are you going to plant it? Thanks for joining us.